nickel and a little bit of time. All right? So I'll tell you a story. I told you that I typically don't go through neighborhoods. This is a money maker. All right? Let's just get that right out of the way. This works. So down on the bluff. Everybody know where the bluff is? That's down there where the Falcons play? Okay? That particular area, what's that?
Vine City.
Vine City. You know it. All right, English Ave, my favorite. All right, so I have my homeless person go down and paper that neighborhood with this flyer. All right, so what happened was this. I give him my staple gun, I give him some staples, I give him money for making a phone call to tell me that he's done. All right, so he walks the neighborhood, he staples this particular flyer to the houses, and then he calls me up. Now, I want you to know that this flyer will get you phone calls even before he is done. My phone was not ringing off the hook. I was not a happy camper. I figured that he had hawked my staple gun and thrown my flyers in the trash. So I was not a happy camper. All right, what happened was this. I drove in. I saw my flyers on the houses. And I put the guy in the car and I say to him, look, you know, what's the deal? How come this isn't working? And he started laughing at me. All right, now, he's sitting in my car that I paid cash with, and he's laughing at me? All right, and he wants to get paid on top of that. All right, I'm flexible. I can change. So what happens is this. He says, look at the flyer. I said, yeah. He said, look at the house. Half the people in this neighborhood have been in jail. What had happened was that they thought that this was a scam to get people to show up so they could lock them up. And see that little window right there on the front? That's where you push the food. All right. So we want to make sure that our marketing pieces will work, but not 100%. They won't work always. So you got to be flexible. As the economy changes, do you need new tools in your tool belt? Do you need to have somebody that's going to give you an education like the RIA, a mentor or a coach? Absolutely. So we want to tap into those in order to be able to use those as a solid resource. All right, now this is the second negotiation or third negotiation that you've learned that, you know, what would it take if we could close quickly? All right? That's the only negotiation that you might need. Is that exciting or what? Right. For those of you that don't like conflict and confrontation, we've just given you a series of questions and answers to allow you to be able to win with no confrontation. It's just a conversation. All right? So, let's talk about this. No. You get a no, I'm not going to do that. Well, what we want to do is if we don't have a clue and we are still afraid because we haven't practiced those words, that based on the information that you've given me, this is what I can do for you, then what happens is that you want to say, look, I'll call you back. The next one is that you may want to give a cash or term, and if they accept the cash, you want to write out there very quickly. Very important. All right? If you get a no, then ask what will work for you, and then shut up. Because the first person that talks loses. Does that make sense? All right, I have seen and negotiated with people, buyers, sellers, and there's a story that all I had to do, I was mentoring somebody. We were standing right there with the seller, and we were talking, and I said to him, you know, if you had a realtor, you'd have to pay a commission. That's what I said. And he dropped his price 10%. I didn't even have to ask him. How many people would like to have your prices drop without even asking? Oh, yeah. Well, this is how you do it. All right? All right, so what we want to do is if the seller says no and it's a dead end, we want to give them great customer service. Notice the words that I'm using here. I'm asking them if they need a realtor, if they need an attorney, if they need a title company or an attorney or a contractor. Notice I'm pumping up my power team. I have learned the hard way that if I don't make other people wealthy, I can't be wealthy. Does that make sense? Yeah. If I'm too cheap and I squeeze every nickel and I don't allow other people to make a profit, are they going to play with me? No. Not at all. So if I pay a going rate that's fair and make them wealthy, are they going to want to play with me? Yes. And that's the mindset that we want to work with. We want to have other people doing our work for us. It's a beautiful thing. All right? And notice that I'm using nice, flowery words. You see how that works? All right, so at this particular point, do you have any questions? Pretty simple stuff, right? You know how to wholesale at this point. We've given you kind of a basic on this. We've told you how to be able to talk to sellers. I've given you scripts. I've given you some marketing. Right? Everybody feel comfortable with that? Yeah. So what is it that you need now? Anybody have an idea? Let me hear from you. Because that way I can fine-tune this training in order to give you what you want.
We need the administrative end. They say that they're interested in, we want to bring the seller to the buyer. I guess the paperwork and everything to connect the deal.
Okay, we're going to be talking about contracts a little bit later. All right, anybody else?
We're still trying to get the house to wholesale, right?
That's exactly it. Well, we've just gotten some inventory. I've shown you how. You either go to probate, like Rock had talked about the different areas and the different ways to market. So that's the creation of the inventory. All right? And what I've been discussing is how to talk to the seller. The things that you say, what are important to you. All right? Did that answer your question? Okay.
I just want to know where you were at. I mean, if you're asking what the next step, what we need.
What do you need?
Well, trying to explain to the motivated seller the next step in terms of how you're going to wholesale. You're not going to mention.
No, you don't necessarily need to mention a wholesale.
Right, no, but I mean, so what's the next? How to structure? Yeah. What do you say to them? If I can find you someone who will, right? That's how you do it. That's the next step.
Well, we'll get to that. Yes. Okay. That's what you need. We'll get you that.
Yeah.
Okay. Question? You need some forms? Okay.
Best way to come up with value.
Okay.
To make the offer.
The maximum allowable offer. All right. We'll touch that.
And if we could finish the repairs, because not everything is light repairs.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to finish up with the 5 things. All right. I'm glad that you brought that up. Okay. The big 5. Hang on. I'll be right with you. The big 5 works like this. I described what the big 5 were, correct? Okay. Each one of the big 5. What's that? All right. This is a test for those of you that were using your unconscious brain. What were they? All right. Did you get that? Okay. All right, so here it is. You start from the bottom, and what's that? A foundation. Then you have the contents, which is the plumbing, the electrical, and the HVAC. And then what do you have on top to keep it all dry? The roof. That's the big 5. All right? And the big 5, if you miss the big 5, it will eat you for lunch. All right? Big 5 costs $5,000 to start from scratch. Right? Each. So in today's society, you go and you look at a roof and it's shot, you go $5,000. Okay, it needs electrical because it's been what we call urban mining, where they come in and mine it out of these houses. Okay, or the air conditioner has been mined. What happens is that's $5,000 right there. Now, if it's just an outside thing, great, it's a lot less, but you're a beginner. It's better to have integrity when you're going out and estimating these repairs, because I have met people that have told me, when I asked them about how much do you think the repairs would cost, I had a gentleman that didn't have any sheetrock on the wall, didn't have any electrical on the studs. He only had he didn't even have insulation, and he said he could get it done for $5,000. And I said to him, "You got a deal. You do it for $5,000." And when the electrical goes in, I'll give you $500 because I had 10 items. Are you with me? And he looked at me like I had 4 heads for some odd reason. But I just flipped it on him. And when you flip things on people and you make them have to give you because they gave it to you, do you see how easy the negotiation works?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, now I was hoping that somebody, oh, wait a minute, I got one over here. Yes.
So the next step, I guess, would be if they're not interested in the wholesale price.
Well,
The other deals.
this is what it is right here. All right, we will be talking about a little bit light on lease option and owner financing. A little bit light on it.
Search for comps.
Comps, I'll give it to you.
What about like termite damage?
Termite damage, what about it?
How can you, like if you can't see it and you don't
see it until you get into actually doing the repairs.
Yep.
What is the usual cost for like tearing it down?
The answer is that's a can of worms that you open up, and it's scary. I had a house that was over in the East Lake area, and the contractor opened up the wall and pushed it, and the whole wall, 20 feet of it, went, and the roof went, and that was a cost overrun. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty sight. I didn't see the termites. I had it inspected, and it was just one of those things. Oh my gosh, we got to deal with it. All right, yes.
Are you going into repairs in more detail later?
Probably not, because repairs, we got to get through a lot of information. What would you like to know?
Well, on a 1,200 square foot home, if it has an old electric box, like the one with the fuses, and so you need to change that and rewire the entire thing and put in AC, central AC, what would you?
Okay, all right, pause.
5,000?
There you go. 10,000.
10,000, that's it?
That's it. 5 for the electrical and 5 for the HVAC. See how easy that was? All right, yes, sir.
So you still add $12,000 for that for the 12
On top of, because you got to get paint and carpeting.
So it's 22,000.
Right, so you're at 22 right then.
So as a wholesaler, you go in, you do the square feet, you look at the big 5, you get a workable number,
Yeah,
and then present it to a cash buyer.
exactly. Yes.
Last thing about repairs, if you're a wholesaler, would you have an inspection?
Okay, great question. For those of you, you're concerned about those repairs? All right, is it okay that I give permission to everybody in the room not to worry about repairs?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, good, I'm glad to hear that. All right, now who should be worried about those repairs? There you go. So they're the ones that are going to do the inspection. You don't care.